Do you ever feel stuck or anxious trying to make design decisions for your home? Figuring out layouts with what you already own, choosing the right furniture pieces, making sure everything works well together, it can get really overwhelming. So if that sounds familiar, you're gonna wanna watch this. Now, think about this. Why do people hire interior designers or interior decorators? Here's my take. Designers know the theory and have the experience to bring a vision to life quickly and effectively. But more importantly, they offer guidance before anything gets installed or purchased, so you can move forward with confidence. And that's the game changer. Visualization. Every designer has tools that allow them to explore and test ideas, basically for free, before making any real decisions. So while I believe that hiring a designer can be highly valuable, I also know that not everyone has the budget. And honestly, there's something beautiful about gradually crafting your home yourself. So the key is learning to think like a designer. And that starts with visualization. So in this video, I'll walk you through my step-by-step process, using tools that are super beginner-friendly and very accessible. I think of it in two phases. First, the macro view, defining layouts, space planning, and answering things like, can I fit a 3-meter dining table here, or is 2.5 more realistic? Then we'll zoom in to the micro view, choosing specific items and seeing how they will look and feel in your space before you commit. Let's get into it. Alright folks, so this is gonna be a hands-on video. This is the first time that I do something like that, so let's see how it goes. I have my computer screen here, so I'll be looking at that and I'll actually record my screen while I'm explaining what I'm doing. That way you can actually see exactly what's going on. So the first thing that I actually do when I start a new project or when I'm thinking about a project for myself, like for my own home, is to get the floor plan. And this is crucial. You can't really go that far without the floor plan. And you don't need like the floor plan of the whole house. If you're thinking about redesigning your living room, that's what you're gonna need. So if you already have the floor plan of your space, perfect. But if you don't, you'll have to measure it manually, let's say. Meaning each and every wall, the width of the doors and the windows, which are very important, the height of the ceiling. If you have cabinets in the space, it's important to include them, so the dimensions. Pretty much build your own floor plan from scratch. And this is gonna be crucial, okay? And if you're measuring your space manually, I highly recommend one of these. This is a laser distance meter and you can get it on Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description for this exact model. It works wonders and it will save you a ton of time when compared to like your regular tape measure. Okay, so for this video, I'm gonna use myself as an example. I just moved to a new house, so I am actually planning each one of the rooms, like what I'm gonna do, if all the furniture that we have will fit in, and what other pieces I'll have to purchase, things that I'd like to update, pretty much everything. It's a blank canvas. So this is the perfect opportunity to show you my process. And in my case, I already have the floor plan of the whole house, so lucky me. So I'll skip the measuring part. You know, throughout the whole process of designing a room and defining the furniture pieces and the colors and the textures and everything that should go in it to make it beautiful, one of the most challenging things to me is wall art and everything related to how to occupy walls. I often find myself a little bit lost in terms of choosing an interesting piece, and when I finally find something that I think would work in my space, I'm not sure exactly how to hang it. Do I make it a gallery wall? And if so, what's the position of each piece in this gallery wall? This topic is something that I've been trying to get better at, but I've been able to learn more about it thanks to the sponsor of today's video, Skillshare. Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives. It has so many cool classes related to design, home decor, DIY, including this one that I just finished taking. And now I feel much more confident to choose wall art for my home while understanding the logic behind why some compositions look better than others. With thousands of creative classes in countless categories, ranging from beginner to advanced, on Skillshare, you will find valuable insights and develop new skills with categories that include illustration, design, animation, film, photography, productivity, and more. So if that sounds exciting to you, make sure to check the link in the description, because the first 500 people to use it will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. So get started today. That's a whole month where you can dive deeper into your passion, develop a new skill, or even working on a new daily habit, like drawing, painting, or unleashing your creative side altogether. So thank you Skillshare for sponsoring this video, and thank you guys for checking them out. It really helps support the channel and my work. So here comes the first tool that I use to aid me throughout this whole process. It's called Coohom. It's an online 3D visualization platform that allows you to create floor plans, play around with layouts. They have a huge library of items. The free version of the platform will already help a lot. You'll be able to draw one floor plan and stuff like that. But if you're interested in generating higher quality renders and using specific models from their library and other very cool features, you may want to check out their pro subscription. So I'll leave a link in the description. And by the way, this is not sponsored. This is actually the platform that I use, but I do have an affiliate link. So if you do decide to go with their pro subscription, I earn a small commission at no extra cost to you, and that helps support the channel. Okay, so let's see it in action. Let me put my microphone here. Hopefully this sounds okay. So here I have the Coohom tool open, and I'm gonna go ahead and create a new 3D project. And when you do that, you have the option to upload a floor plan. So that's what I'm gonna do, since I already have a file of my floor plan. And then it's gonna generate a preview. So the only thing that you're gonna need is the measurement of one wall. So in my case, the measurement for this wall here, which is the room we're gonna be looking at as an example for this video, and this is a little over 4 meters long. I'm gonna go ahead and enter that and click confirm. So now it's gonna generate the floor plan inside the tool for me. Okay, so here we have it. This, again, this is a basic model of the floor plan. It doesn't like bring the stairs or anything too complex. Then I can manually adjust all the details, but it's a great starting point, so you don't have to draw everything by hand. I did refine this a little bit, so I'll go ahead and go to the file that's already refined, and in this file you can see all the 3 floors of my current place, but I'm gonna focus on just the living room for now. So what is great about this tool is that you can not only see the 2D version of the space, but also the 3D version. So this is my current living room, which I'm working on right now. And here you can see that I have a pretty large space. Right here is the staircase that leads to the 3rd floor, and here, this space in the middle, it's my kitchen. I have a large island here, and so on. So this is an integrated space, and I have a balcony outdoors. And we also have an electric fireplace with this feature fireplace wall, let's say, and I already included our television here above it, because this is exactly how it is today. This is the first step, basically. You're gonna either upload your floor plan or draw the floor plan manually inside the tool, which is also very easy to do. I'm not gonna dive deeper into how to do it in this video, but you can find plenty of tutorials online for this specific tool and for many other tools as well. Okay, so with the floor plan step done, I'm moving into the second step of my process, which is to add everything that I already own into the space here, so I can see it in 3D and I can have a sense of how much space I actually have around all the pieces that I already own. And to do that, you can browse their huge library. So let's say I'm looking for a sofa that's similar to the one that I already own. You may not be able to find the exact model that you're looking for, but you can find similar models, and that's good enough for this phase, which is to have a sense of the overall space. So even if you don't find the exact model, you can get, like, let's say you have a 3-seater sofa and you can find the exact model that you're looking for here. You can go for like this 3-seater sofa, and then you're gonna measure your current sofa so you know its length and its width. And with this information, you're gonna edit the measurements here in the platform. So let's say you measured your sofa and it measures, I don't know, 2.8 meters in length. So you're gonna come here, and that will depend on the unit, the scale unit that you prefer. I'm using millimeters, so I'm gonna input 2800 millimeters and tap enter, and then you can see it resizes. And same thing for width. Let's say my couch measures 1.5 meters of width, then I'll come here and tap that in, and that's it. So and here I am in the 3D view, but I can also do that in the 2D view. And you're gonna repeat this process for every single piece that you have in the space. And for now, you don't have to include decor pieces or anything too small or too specific, like vases, stuff that you put on your coffee table and stuff like that, okay? So I'm gonna repeat this process for every single piece that I already own. So I have an area rug, I also have a Soderham sofa from IKEA, which I was able to find the exact model here in the platform. I also have a floor lamp, I have a round coffee table with these measurements, and I have a plant that looks quite similar to this one here. And that's pretty much it. That's how my living room is right now. This is everything that I own since I moved in from the previous apartment, and this is how my living room looks like. Okay, so this completes phase 2 of my process. The first step is to get the floor plan and put it into a platform of your choice. I'm using Coohom. The second part is to add into the space in the platform everything that you already own, so we can get a sense of what fits and how the space actually looks like in 3D. So now we're moving to the third step of my process, which is to actually play around and see what else I can fit in here, or let's say I already have something in mind. I feel that this space is too empty right now. I would like to put something in here. I don't know exactly what, but I would love to use some pretty chairs that I have on my balcony right now. I'm not exactly sure if they're gonna fit in this space, so one option that I have is to actually go and grab the chairs myself and try it out, and the other option is to test it out online. This is my specific scenario, but let's say you don't have any chairs. You're looking to buy a new chair or a new bench or any item basically. This is the step where you're gonna try and see what size you should be looking for a chair, for a table, for a bench, anything basically. Let's do my case first. I was able to find a pretty similar model of my chairs here, and this is the one. So it looks somewhat like this, and so I can play around and see if they're gonna fit this space. I have 2 of them, so I thought about using several different layouts here. My first idea was to invert like the chaise of the sofa and add the 2 chairs here. And keep in mind, this space here is my kitchen. So this was my first idea. Even before we moved in, I already had this in mind. In my head, it would work. But as you can see, it doesn't. So this is the beauty of trying things out before making a commitment. You can actually see if the space is enough, if the item is big enough or small enough. So in this case, this left a very tiny gap here of 50 centimeters to go through, which is not nearly enough for such a critical path. I would either have to give up on one of the chairs and just leave like the other like this, for instance, which could work, but I didn't want to lose one chair. I mean, I didn't want to store one chair and just use the other. So I kept trying other different layouts. So maybe like this, or maybe like this. This is a very popular layout. Let's say we have a sofa on one side and one single chair facing the sofa. I see it a lot. So when I did that, I was pleased to see that this awkward space was more filled up. And I thought, since I have the gas fireplace, which has like this feature wall, I think I could probably fit the other chair here facing the same direction. And like this, I have a very symmetrical layout. When I look from this angle here, it looks quite good to me, in my opinion. I think it works well. It adds the other chair, and it also adds another sitting option for larger gatherings, which is very good. And I also like this layout because it's great for conversation. So this is the layout that I end up choosing for our living room. And this was actually the first thing that I did for the living room after we moved in. I brought in my patio chairs inside. So notice that with tools like Coohom, for instance, you have the ability to test multiple ideas. You can play around. If you've played The Sims before, it's very similar but more fun, in my opinion. So you can play around with different layouts, with different ideas, and you can actually see them in action with real measurements. You can see if the gap between the sofa and the chair is wide enough for you to go through comfortably, or maybe you would have to go with a smaller chair or a smaller sofa. It is great, and you can do that for multiple applications. So this is my scenario, but let's say you're looking to update your dining space. So this here is my dining space in my house, and I already have a dining table. But let's say that I didn't have a dining table yet and I was looking to buy one, and I wasn't sure about the size of dining table that I should get. So I could come here and I could try different sizes. So let's say I'll go here and I'll look for a dining table. I'll go with a rectangular table first, and I see here that this one has just a little under 2 meters of length, and this seems to be long enough for this space if I wanted to have it in this orientation here. But if I did this, then I could get away with a slightly longer table. So let's see how a 2.5 meter one would look here. It will probably be way too long for this space, so I'll stick with a 2 meter one. I think it looks good. And in terms of width, I think we can go up to 1 meter or so. It would still look good in here. Or maybe you're looking to buy, let's say, a round table, and this would be way too big for this space, so it will probably have to be like something like this, so we could comfortably fit chairs around it. I mean, you get the idea. So let's say besides the dining table, you're also hoping to fit like a side table, a buffet or something like that. So let's see the sizes that you should be looking for here. So I'll use this as an example. This would be a great size for a buffet in this room here. It would look proportional and all right. But if you're aiming for like a built-in look, let's say, you could do something even larger. Let's see how much this wall measures. 2.8 meters long. So you could go up to 2.8 here, and this would give you like a built-in look. So this is, again, an amazing tool for you to actually have a more clear vision of what actually fits into your space. If you should be looking at a round table or a rectangular one, which one would give you like a clear path of travel, and what size you should be looking at. So this concludes the macro phase. We're done with defining the sizes of the objects that we want to include, and also the preferred layout, including the items that we already have in the space. With this in mind, you can make much more informed decisions when looking for actual pieces online or in person. So now let's move on to the micro phase of my process. Okay, so now that we've defined the overall size of the pieces that we want to add into our space, the next step is to actually look for those items. But then, at least for me, another challenge arises, which is, how do I know if the pieces that I like the most when I see them online or in person actually will look good in my space? How do I know if the colors that I'm drawn to will match the other pieces that I already have in my space? After all, we want to have a cohesive looking room and not just throw a bunch of random items together and hope that it would look good. So that's where the micro phase comes in. And this will help you visualize the actual items in your space before you commit. I use Photoshop for my projects and for the projects that I show on my channel. If you've seen my previous videos, you know what I'm talking about. I like Photoshop as a tool because it gives you endless possibilities in terms of the perspective of each item. It lets you paint walls, it lets you change the floors and do pretty much everything. But I know that Photoshop is not an easy tool to learn. So I wanted to offer an alternative here. This tool is not as complete or as robust as Photoshop, but it does the job of aiding you to visualize all the pieces together before deciding what to purchase. And that tool I'm talking about is Canva. I've also mentioned it in previous videos here on the channel, but I personally use it, and it's such a versatile tool and it's so user-friendly that I cannot recommend it enough. So let's see it in action. Okay, so here I have Canva, and I'll go to create a design, and I'll just choose whiteboard because it gives you like no borders to work with. It's just an endless whiteboard, which is great. So to showcase this step of the process, I'll use 3 examples of my living room, and these are actual challenges that I'm facing right now, and I'm actually doing the exact same process that I'm gonna show you here to decide which pieces to buy for my space. Alright, so the first thing that you're gonna do is you're gonna take pictures of your space. I did that, and so I'm gonna upload these pictures here. So let's start with this one. So this is my living room, and this is my fireplace and both chairs that I just showed to you in the previous step. So here's a challenge that I'm facing right now. I think that I already have pretty much every piece of furniture that I need in the living room, but the living room feels incomplete. It feels like the bare minimum. So I still have a lot of work to do to make it feel like ours, to make it feel like home. And one thing that I've been wanting to do since we moved in is to add something to this little awkward corner. Because right now we have like this very improvised side table to house like the video game and our Alexa and the internet stuff, but it is far from ideal. So what I've been thinking is, Wouldn't it be great to add some floating shelves to this little corner here? And since the feature wall of the fireplace already has like these marks across it, I think it would be a good idea to add 4 floating shelves, like a continuity of these lines. My challenge now is to find shelves, 1 that fit here, 2 that look good in this space. I have a couple of options. I can do basic white floating shelves, I can do dark wooden shelves, I could do even metal shelves. I've been looking into metal shelves as well because I love the look. So how do I decide which ones I should go with? So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go over to the IKEA website. This is one of the shelves that I've been looking at. So let's say I want to see if this specific shelf looks good in that wall there. So I'll just screenshot it and I'll just paste it. And as you can see, it brings the image with the white background. In my case, I have Canva Pro, so I can remove the background using this little button here. It would automatically identify the objects in the image and remove the background, which is an amazing tool to have. So I highly recommend that you use Canva Pro to visualize your projects. I mean, you can still leave all the white backgrounds in the picture, but it just, if you have multiple objects that you want to visualize at the same time, it might be hard to see how they will relate to each other. So if you already have Canva Pro, perfect. If you don't, you can use their 30-day free trial for your personal project. And even if you don't have the trial available anymore, I believe their monthly prices are quite affordable. So if you're willing to spend just a little bit of money to make sure you can visualize your project properly, that would be nice. Let's see how my idea looks here. So the perspective of the objects won't be perfect, but they will be good enough for you to understand how they will all look as a group, okay? So let's test out my idea. I'll just copy and paste all those shelves. Okay, so yeah, I think it will work pretty well. Let's see how a white shelf would look like here. Maybe something like this. So I'll just screenshot it and paste it in, remove the background. Oh, and of course, while I'm doing it, I already know the measurements of the shelves that I'm looking at. So this gap between the fireplace and the window measures about 67 centimeters. So I can fit a 60 centimeter shelf in here. And that's exactly the measurement of these ones here. So it's important that you already have the measurements of what you're looking for, or a range. Let's take all these ones and leave them here, and I'll just do the same thing with the white shelf. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this simple white shelf. I think that the other one has more personality. I will stick with these ones for now. I will put the video game console in here and some other decor pieces on the other shelves. I think it will look good. So now it leaves me with this awkward space here. It's the way it looks now, it's a bit unbalanced. We have a lot of height on one side and nothing on the other. So one thing that I think would look good here is a tree. Now I already have a fake olive tree, so I think it would look good in here. So what I'm gonna do is, I could take a picture of my olive tree, but it's like the garage, I don't wanna do that. So I'll get just a random olive tree that I find on the internet, because I just want to see if it will look good. During your search, you can look for one specific tree or item or whatever that you like and take the screenshot of the exact item that you're looking to buy, so you can make sure that the overall picture would correspond the most to the actual space of the final result. I'll go ahead and use this one as an example. I'll remove the background and it does a great job of removing the background. And so I will place it here. Of course, in the real world, this chair would be covering this part of the tree, but for now, this is okay. I could do something like, I could take a screenshot of this part here, and I could paste it in, do something like that. Good enough for me. So this simple process of putting everything in one single file over one picture of the actual space, which shows the color of the floor, the color of the walls, and the pieces that will be right next to the ones that I'm wanting to purchase, just made all the difference in my decision making. So now I know that I don't want simple white shelves in here. I will go for wooden ones for this more interesting look. Okay, so this is one of the challenges that I'm facing in my living room. The other one is I'm thinking about getting a new sofa. So I wanted to test out if the sofa that we're thinking about purchasing would actually look good in our current living room. So let's try and do that. This is how my living room looks like from another angle. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna get a picture of the sofa that we're thinking about getting. So when you're looking for pictures of the items that you want to buy, most of the websites will have something like this, a white background and a lot of pictures of the same product from different angles. So it's important that you choose the angle of the item, like the picture, that more closely fits the angle of the picture that you took of your space. So for instance, here, my living room is I'm kind of looking at it from this angle. So this specific website allows me to rotate the model of the sofa, which is the perfect scenario. But most other websites won't have like a 3D model like this, but they will have plenty of pictures. I'm gonna choose something like this and I'm gonna screenshot it. Yeah, so now I can have a pretty good idea of how this sofa would look like in my living room. Of course, it's blocking most of my coffee table. What you could do here is you could take pictures of each one of your items, like to make a better composition of an image. Picture of my coffee table somewhere in here. I do have it actually, so I'll just remove the background. So although the perspectives are not perfect, they're far from perfect, I can definitely visualize like the overall idea of having this specific sofa in my living room. In terms of measurements, I've measured it and it's basically the same size of my current sofa, so that's why I've been able like to put it right on top of my sofa. But if you're dealing with different furniture items, just place them in spots that will mostly resemble the ones in real life. So besides the sofa and the shelves that I mentioned previously, I'm also thinking about putting something on this wall right above the sofa. And I've been looking at some inspiration images and I think that I found the perfect inspiration image. I think this would look so good in my living room, and I want to test how this idea will actually look in my space. So in order to do that, I chose another angle. I think this one would be best to visualize how things are gonna look like on this wall here. So since we're going with the green sofa, I'll bring it in again, this time from another angle. Yeah, looks good enough for me. Let's pretend the old one is not there. So next thing, I'm gonna look for some shelves for this wall here. Okay, that's the one. I think this angle is actually gonna look better. So let's try this one. Let's see. I'm thinking something like this. As you can see, it brought something extra here. What we can do is we're gonna come here to the background remover and we're gonna erase this part here. And you can do that if that ever happens to your image as well. This is a good spot for the shelves. So now comes the tricky part of choosing an art piece for this spot here. But for the sake of the example, I'm almost sure that I want something red. So I just want to get a sense if a red art piece or at least a red frame will look good in this composition here. So I'll just get a red frame from IKEA and I can work on the details later, like the actual art that I'm gonna frame. And now somewhere around here or something, I think the whole group should be somewhat in the middle of the sofa. So this is how it should look, like the final product should be something like this. And I like this very much. Maybe I will choose a frame that it's not that bright a red, maybe something a little less dramatic, but overall I think I'm in the right direction here. Alright, so these examples covered some scenarios where most of the pieces were already defined, were already in the space. And I didn't even include paint or changing any finish, basically floors, cabinet color. So what if your project involves more decisions like this? What if you want to paint the walls or if you want to change the floors? So here's one final solution that will help you visualize more complex scenarios. And since we're not using Photoshop, it's quite hard to include all of this complexity using Canva, which is a pretty simple tool. So this last tip will not include like a mock-up of the actual space, but it will allow you to see every item, every color, texture, and everything all together. So we're building a sample board, and I'll use Canva for that as well. Okay, so what is a sample board? It is basically a place where you put every single item and color and material that you plan on using in a space. So I'll use my living room as an example again. Let's say I didn't have any furniture or I wanted to change drastically what I had. So my living room has like this feature wall of the fireplace, and that's why I'm including this picture here, because it makes a difference. I mean, it has color, it has texture. I think it should be included. So if your space has like an architectural feature or anything that will impact like the visual interest of the overall composition, it should be included. So let's say I wanted to paint the walls. So I'm gonna look for a color on Bear's website. So let's say I want a warm tone of beige or white. I'll go with something like this, for example. So I'm gonna take a screenshot of this color and I'm gonna paste it over in Canva. So this is an important part of the design, the color of the walls. So now I'm gonna start adding some elements here. So for example, you're gonna choose a rug. Let's add a rug here. And then you're gonna choose a sofa. And then you're gonna add some chairs. Let's say I like this one. And then we're gonna bring some life to this space with a tree, and also bring some visual interests with an arc lamp. I'm looking for a coffee table for this composition. And so as you can see, the idea here is to put everything in one single place so you can easily visualize how they interact with each other. And you can also include decorative items to the sample board as well. Like, let's say, let's shake things up with a pink cushion. Yeah, and you can pretty much add everything that you're planning to buy for your space, the paint that you're planning to choose for the walls. And so although this is not in perspective, like you're not actually seeing the photograph of the whole room, this is such a powerful tool to help you make decisions, because you can actually see how each piece interacts with each other and if they would work together or not. You can play around until you're satisfied with the final result, and then you can proceed to buying the actual pieces with a little more confidence that you're making the right decisions. Throughout this video, I've been showing an example of a living room, but this works for pretty much every single space. You can do that for a dining room, an office, a bedroom, even a kitchen. It works for every single room. So what changes are the elements that you're gonna put in the sample board or in your pictures or even during the floor plan phase. Alright, let's sum it up. This is how my overall process of decorating with confidence looks like. The first step, draw your floor plan. Then add your floor plan to an online tool so you can visualize it and play around with it. After that, you're going to include in the floor plan every single item that you already have in your space. And make sure to use the correct measurements for each piece so you are absolutely sure that your floor plan corresponds to reality. Then it's time to play around with the layout options that you can come up with, and while you're doing that, you will also be able to identify the optimal range of objects that you want to include to your space. So let's say you're designing your dining room, and according to your floor plan, the maximum length of a table that you can have is 2 meters. So when you're looking for tables, you already know the size that you need. So with the layout defined and the measurement ranges for every item that you want to include, it's time to look for the items. And this is where the micro phase comes in. So for the next step, you're gonna take some pictures of your actual space from multiple angles, and those can be used in a tool like Canva. Visualize how the items that you're willing to buy will look like in your actual space and how the new items will connect to the ones that are already in there. And lastly, if your project is a little bit more complex and you're thinking about getting a lot of pieces or changing more structural elements like flooring, paint, finishes, stuff like that, you can use a sample board to help you visualize how each and every one of these elements will look together. So you can play around with the possibilities until you're satisfied and you have a cohesive looking room. And all of that before spending a single dollar. I know this might sound like a lot of work, but believe me, it's fun. If you're watching this video until now, I'm pretty sure you're into home decor stuff, so you will have fun doing all of this. And it will help you make more informed decisions and avoid regrets later. Alright folks, that's it for today's video. This was a long one. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel to see more content like this. Also, do let me know in the comments below if you find this kind of format helpful. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.